Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for the collective for this portal day, January 11th. So, because this is a collective reading, I'm doing it with my big combined deck of tarot cards and astrological oracle cards. So, you'll see both of them in your reading today. In fact, we do have a card that is very symbolic and very in tune with the frequency of this portal day, which is the North Node. It's coming from the Astrological Oracle deck, and in itself, it is a representation of the portal, right? That we are crossing through, or that we are entering through today. So this is something that is, permeating the entire reading, the entire message. And I feel like in the grand scheme of things, humanity, right, the collective, is coming through in a very significant, in a very crucial threshold, crossing this portal through this portal day, the 11th of January, right? 1101 or 0111. Um Almost as in like this mathematics of the universe, right? Like this code of zeros and ones. But I do want to say that humanity is like a child, right? It's like a kid that is growing up, that is coming to know oneself, that is individuating, right? To use a Jungian term. So it is kind of like coming of age, but understanding that the individual can can have like this separate thought, or can think differently than the others, than the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious is very, very deeply being represented here by the Ten of Swords, and it's coming later on, followed by the Page of Pentacles, which is the representative of the child, right? That humanity is, our human collective is at this moment in time. But the cards that are above, the first card and then the first row of three, it's very potent. And I feel like it symbolizes like this constant evolution that we are going through, but that has been slightly distorted, or the angle that we use to understand the meaning of portals or portal days, just like today, has been it's almost like has been um, full of mystery, right? Basically, things that are unknown to us. But if we are, as a collective, willing to transform that angle, that point of view of the meaning of portals, especially from fear to something that is deeply enriching, that is going to it's almost like that is going to self actualize who we are, right? So that we can, reap the rewards of the seeds that we bring from our inner potential, that it's still in its infant stage, right? It's like it needs blooming. So it's like humanity needs this, it's like this push, or this like this courageousness, like this bravery to go through this threshold, this very mysterious yet incredibly enriching, transformative process, because we're beginning with death. So, what I heard from this card was, are you willing to die? But there is no somber feeling from this death card. In fact, it's almost like this resurrection type of death. It's more like this, the death of things that have fulfilled that purpose, were useful, they served, but now it's time for those parts of us, right, as individuals, part of this human collective, to shed that old skin, to let go of those things that are no longer suiting. It's almost like a child that needs to let go of the old clothes, because the child is growing. So The old clothes are not going to fit anymore. So, first of all, we are beginning with this deep transformation, this call to die in a sense, but die as we are alive, right? So die to live more fully, to embrace this potential that we carry within. So this is a portal, but I often talk about this door as, a slightly open door. So the invitation is for us to step into it. It's like we have to open the door, we have to dare cross this threshold. And when we do, the Tower card that is coming next, so big, big energies, you see here how, the shape, this arch, is also here. So the same geometry is in both energies, both major arcana, in a different way, because if you know the meanings, the traditional meanings of these cards, they are not something that is a light energy. They carry a lot of weight, they carry a lot of struggle. But today, because the way that I read my cards, it's very unusual, or at least very different from the traditional meaning. These two cards combined are talking about the same thing, whereas here there is this fear perhaps of the unknown, because the door hasn't been open yet, right? So it's still like this uncertainty of what's going to be on the other side, daring to cross this barrier, right? Having to cross a threshold that you have no idea what you're going to find. So there requires this movement requires bravery and courage. So but here the Tower, and in traditional tarot, the Tower can be very devastating. But to me, this Tower is very stable. It's almost like emphasizing the rebuilding process, which is also connecting to the Taurus reading that I did yesterday, that was talking about Taurus being the first one to go, to this choice point and choosing, willingly choosing to go through this path that could be seen potentially by others as challenging, but they only saw, the potential that lied ahead, that was on the other side, and the willingness to work together, right? To build something together with the collective. So I do feel like the Tower here is symbolizing this. It's like stepping through the threshold and realizing that actually the Tower as a major arcana energy or archetype it's like when we understand what's on the other side of the death being the rebuilding process, this is the resurrection, this is the true crossing of the portal. It's almost like the door is only scary because it lacks context that structures our perception of growth, or our perception of evolution, of maturity, of individuating, right? But when there is a context, it's almost like there is a purpose, there is like a bigger understanding of why this is here in the first place, why this invitation to die consciously, right? Willingly, right? So I do feel like there is this almost like a premonition in the collective unconscious that, not just because today is a portal day, but also because we are being presented with many, many portals, because the North Node is coming here. So you see here how the same symbol is being portrayed three times, and actually four times, but the last one is a little bit distorted and we're going to get there. But you see here how we have three arches, three portals, right? And today being the 11th of January, right? So we have three wands, right? So it's almost like the invitation to cross this threshold. It's going to reach each one of us individually, right? It's like this, in a sense, it is a choice point, just like it was for Taurus yesterday. But when we put it into a context that we're all building collectively something that is going to be, higher, it's almost like something that is going to just grow, right? It's like this stacking on top of each other. It's like all of our knowledge, all of our bravery, all of our courage, all of our transformation, all of our resurrected selves. And this, being the North Node, being this ultimate spiritual path towards this evolution, because the North Node, opposite to the South Node, the North Node talks about this evolution of the soul, the evolution of the spirit. So it is kind of like the invitation to, in different levels, and maybe because the number three is also here, maybe we are talking about the body, the soul and the spirit. So there is this understanding that the growth, the maturity process is happening in different levels. And when it reaches this level of the spirit, it's like it reaches also the collective. So it's almost like each individual needs to go through this individuation process, because it adds up to the collective awakening, to the collective, just realizing that there is this portal that is opening up. It's not, things are not falling apart. It's actually this rebuilding process that is going to be emphasized. However, the moon here could be, if we put all of these together again, the arch, right? But it's somehow distorted, or it's a little bit dislocated, right? The angle upon which we look at the sky and we see the moon, right? It is just, it's almost like it's giving this uncertainty of the door, of the portal. So it's almost like there is this mystery in regards to the portal, whether or not it's in position or whether or not it is open, right? Because everything is lining up until now, until we get to the moon. And apparently, the collective is perceiving this placement, or this position, this specific position, this angle, right? It's like this angle of observing this transformation, this it's like this process of growth that is, it's like it's everywhere, right? It's all around us. But the moon brings the unknown. It's almost like emphasizing the fear, or emphasizing the mystery, that one can never know what's going to happen until, you know you try. So it's like having to dare cross that threshold, trusting in the unknown. Here it's trusting the intuition. It is going to appear as, as if things are in a different angle than they should, right? But it's like trusting that this transformation is lining up in a specific order. That was also something that came up recently. But those in the collective that are wanting to steer the ship in a distorted way, they're going to emphasize the fear, emphasize the deceit, emphasize the different angles. So it's almost like shining a light, right? It's like holding this spotlight over the moon and distorting it. Or it's like trying to tell the story, but changing its geometry. I don't know how to explain that, but everything is lining up. And I feel, because it's the 1101, or the 0111, it's like it's the power of the individual within the collective, if you see what I mean. So if there is trust in your intuition, then even the collective unconscious that is here, that is, moving the crowds, moving the masses with a lot of power, even then, intuition will prevail, and it will show the same geometry, that it was just slightly shifted, because we have the Five of Cups and the Ten of Swords. Traditionally, again, these two cards can be very deceiving, can be very sad, can be very disencouraging, right? The Five of Cups being this sense of being betrayed or just feeling sad overall because, you couldn't trust those that, you put everything that you believed in. So, this to me is not the sadness or the frustration or the deceit or the disappointment. Even the Ten of Swords is not that. What these two cards are talking about is that when one puts itself in your own place of emotional integrity close to your heart, right? It's like dropping into the heart space. I was trying to find the word. It's like dropping into the heart space is not going to allow you to be drowned by this current of fake news or mysteries that are fearful, that are unknown. You know what I mean? This is the trigger. This is like being taken by the waves, being taken by, this undercurrent of the collective unconsciousness. So, whatever controls the mind, right, the masses, it's being symbolized here. But if you choose to individually go to your heart, it's like you're going to find your personal integrity there. So it's almost like, we're talking about a death process, right? A transformation that requires this grieving process. And I feel like, yes, if there is sadness, if there is the sense of realizing that you were, being guided or being taken by these waves of collective unconscious, it's okay to feel sad when you are leaving, right? Because it's like realizing that you were there, for however long you were, but somehow in grieving that process, it's like transforming the sadness into a sense of sovereignty, right? It's like taking ownership of your feelings, your thoughts, no longer being taken or being conducted or it's like being told what to do, what to accept, what is the truth, what is not. And so here, as I said, ending this reading, we have the Page of Pentacles. So this is the symbol for where humanity is at this moment in time in the grand scheme of things, because remember, we have the Death, the Tower, the North Node, and the Moon. So all major arcana and the central card from the Astrological Oracle deck. And here we have only minor arcana. So this is where we are currently, right? Being taken still by this collective unconscious that can be very deceiving, can be very threatening, can be very alarming, but it doesn't need to guide us from a place of fear if we are in our heart space. So, allowing yourselves to be in this place of learning, right? Like students of life. We have so much to learn. We're just kids, right? But still, we carry this seed of potential inside of us. So when we have this realization that we are part of the collective, but we don't have to be taken by the collective, mentally or emotionally, it's like we grieve that separation, we grieve that death, but the death that leads to the rebirth, the death that leads to the rebuilding of our spirit, but here on earth, right? So I feel like this is very clear, although it can take a while for it to really be actualized, I feel like, right? It's almost like we don't even realize how much growing we still have to go through, how much individuation we need to go through, right? This process of maturing. But I am going to pull more cards to see where this wants to go next. And also, I'm going to pull from the astrological rooms in the extended. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Bye.